and welcome to another episode of From Ireland to Palestine. Our guest today is Ahmed Alnaouq, who was born in Gaza. He's the founder of the We Are Not Numbers project, which he founded a number of years ago in 2015 with Pam Bailey. It's a project which aims to tell the stories of ordinary people in Gaza and in the process humanize them. Like many people in Gaza, Ahmed has endured tragedy through the genocide. He lost over 23 members of his family who were killed by Israel. And he's now working as an author, journalist, and broadcaster in the UK. Ahmed, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. So I suppose the first question is, how are you? I mean, I think I explained there about what you had to endure, and you still have sisters who are in Gaza. How are you doing?
I always find this question the most difficult.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you were a Palestinian watching your country being destroyed in front of your eyes, watching your neighbors, your friends, your family, your relatives killed day after a day after a day for 2 years? How would you feel if you were in that place? It's very, very, very difficult. At the beginning of this genocide, I lost the vast majority of my immediate family members, my brothers and sisters and father, nieces and nephews. I still have 2 sisters in Gaza. They are living the genocide. They're living the starvation, and they are going through what the rest of the Palestinians are going through in Gaza. So it is very difficult to tell people how do I feel right now, because what I feel, it's different from what normal people are living and experiencing, and it's just really horrible.
Yeah, there's no real yardstick for it. I think I heard you say in another podcast that psychologists don't really have any comparison for this. They don't have any training dealing with the sort of level of trauma that's going on in Gaza, that sort of scale of loss of family members. You might be trained to deal with like one family member being lost, but not almost an entire family being wiped out.
That's partly why me and many of my friends do not see therapists right now, because we do not believe that there are therapists who are capable of understanding what we go through and dealing with people like us. Yeah, me and many of my friends, we decided not to see any therapist no matter what happens, because when we talk to therapists, we need our therapists to feel or to know, to understand the scale of the gravity of what we are going through in Gaza.
But there's no one who's had that sort of experience. Yeah. And your sisters, whereabouts are they in Gaza at the moment?
They live in Deir al-Balah,
right,
where my family is actually from Deir al-Balah.
And they have shelter there. I mean, how are they getting by from day to day?
Yeah, their homes were partially destroyed, but they're still in their homes right now. They're managing. They're trying to cope with what's going on. They're lucky that they're not living in tents until this moment. They're very, very, very lucky. Unlike the vast majority of the people in Gaza who lost their homes and they're living in tents. And you know that the tragedy in Gaza is that now people who are fleeing from Gaza City to the south, they don't even find any shelter, not even a tent, not even an empty piece of land of land in which they can erect their tents.
Well, yeah, I think it's like $1,500 now people have to buy a tent for. It's not like there's tents just sitting there ready. It's people are fleeing their homes in Gaza City, and they're hoping they can get a tent once they're there if they have the money. And people who don't have the money, they're just staying.
The tragedy is, even if you have that money to buy a tent, there is no empty piece of land to erect your tent at, which is a catastrophe. I know of many Palestinians in Gaza who live in Gaza City who said that. Just this morning, I was reading some posts on Facebook with friends and relatives who said that they have been trying for a week or two to find any just empty piece of land, and they did not find any in the south of Gaza Strip and Deir al-Balah, and that's why they decided to stay in Gaza City and die in Gaza City, because they know at some point Israelis are marching in Gaza and they will kill everyone who stays in Gaza City, and they're preferring to die actually, because there is no place they can go to.
It means literally just no empty space. It's that
No
densely
empty
populated.
space.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no, I am from Deir el-Balah, and I remember Deir el-Balah and how it was. Deir el-Balah is a very agricultural area. And my sisters told me that now Deir el-Balah is so crowded that people are sleeping in graveyards. People are just putting their tents on graveyards, on top of the graves of their family members or relatives or friends, and they're just staying there.
Yeah, because there's just no.
Imagine the horror that they're living now. Having to stay for 2 years in a graveyard, living in a graveyard. And those are the lucky ones who have found a spot to put their tents.
Yeah. It is horrendous to imagine. And there doesn't seem to be any red line for Israel. It seems like they can get away with, they've got away with everything so far. And it seems like even if they do start killing all the people who just choose to remain in Gaza City, they'll get away with it.
Israel pushed the boundaries of what is acceptable, of what are the red lines. America, before Israel invaded Rafah, they said Rafah is a red line. They have destroyed Rafah entirely, completely. They decimated the city. And then they went to Gaza, to Khan Yunis, to all of the Gaza Strip. There are no red lines for Israel because Israel is killing us in the darkness without the international journalism. Without the international journalists, they're killing the Palestinian journalists because they want to show the world, because they don't want the world to see what horror they're inflicting on the Palestinian people.
Yeah, and they've killed, over 250 journalists now, and they keep doing it. Always, like as you say, to just disguise what they're doing. There is still some footage coming out of Gaza of buildings being leveled, but it's mostly just random people filming, and even they now can't do that because the internet's been cut in most of northern Gaza.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, just moving away from that to talk about why you're here in Belfast, or moving onto the book itself. We Are Not Numbers has started as a sort of online project, and then has now transitioned to a book, which I believe is doing very well. Do you want to just tell us a bit about how it started, and what the purpose of the project is?
Yeah, the project started after the Israeli offensive on the Gaza Strip in 2014. In that war, I lost my brother and many of my friends. And like many other many other young Palestinians who endured the war in Gaza, I was completely devastated, destroyed for experiencing a 51-day war on the Gaza Strip. But also I lost a family member, and that was the first time I ever lose a family member in a war. And then I was encouraged by a writer, Pam, to write the story about my brother. And long story short, I agreed to write this story about my brother out of mere embarrassment, because she's older than me, and we in Gaza respect older people.
Can I do what they say?
Sorry?
You have to do what they say?
Yeah, we have to do what they say, even if we don't actually want to do it.
Yeah.
And I did not want to write a story about my brother in English, because I thought those who read English do not care about the Palestinians. And I was reading the mainstream media and how they portray the Palestinian people, and I thought, why would they even bother write a story about my brother for an audience who hate us, who don't like us, who just read the mainstream media and believe their bias and their bad coverage on Palestine. But then when I wrote my first story, that story was published, and a lot of people read that story, and they encouraged me to keep on writing. So we decided to replicate this experience with many other Palestinians from Gaza. So we started this small initiative called We Are Not Numbers, in which we train young writers from Gaza who can write in English to write their stories and to amplify their voices worldwide. That's how we started We Are Not Numbers in 2015. That was after the war in Gaza. And ever since we have been training hundreds of writers, not only from Gaza, but from the West Bank and from the diaspora all around the world, and writing their story, publishing their stories on our website. And We Are Not Numbers, we decided not to only write stories like mine, stories of bereaved people, of suffering and pain and darkness, but we also wanted to shed more light on the everyday life of the Palestinians in Gaza. we wrote about the culture of the Palestinians, the hospitality of the Palestinians, the beauty of the sea, the historical places in Gaza, the ancient cemeteries and the oldest churches in the world who are in Gaza, the mosques, the beauty of the people, their talents, everything that is about Gaza that the Western media does not cover. And does not give voice to. And we have been publishing hundreds, I would say thousands of stories on our website, all sorts of stories. And we decided to call it We Are Not Numbers because we wanted to show the world that behind the statistics that you often see in the news, there are human beings with the stories that need to be told and that need to be shared with the world. We have a lot of talents. We have a lot of talented writers in Gaza. A lot of amazing, wonderful people who have stories, who want to share these stories with the world, who want to write, and who want to have their experiences shared with the world. And this is the gap that we had in the mainstream media. The mainstream media only talks about the Palestinians and about Gaza when there is a bloodshed. And we wanted to show the world that no, we deserve to be talked about even when there is no bloodshed, even when there is no war, even when there is no siege. We have stories, even love stories that we want the world to know about us. We have been writing these stories for the past 10 years. And unfortunately, our stories, we were hoping that by telling our stories, we're encouraging young writers in Gaza to use this nonviolent resistance against occupation so that we no longer experience wars, so that no longer the mainstream media covers the statistics of the dead people in Gaza. But unfortunately, in this war, another major genocide happened. It's not a war, it's a genocide. And tens of thousands of Palestinians were killed. And we thought it is very important that now we turn these online stories into a physical book. And we published this book, and it was received with a huge admiration from everyone.
Yeah, you were saying it's been doing very well. It's been sort of topping bestseller lists, and a lot of people buying it. It seemed to me like the book and the project itself sort of has like a three-part role. It sort of has a political role in that you're trying to change the political dialogue and shift the political landscape more in favor of Palestinians. It sort of has a what you would say, it sort of is to move people, to make people experience to some extent what the Palestinians experience, and to humanize Palestinians. Palestinians are so dehumanized by Western media, by Western culture, that it has that role as well.
I would refuse to say humanize the Palestinians. In fact, I used to say this word a lot in the past. We want to humanize the Palestinians. The Palestinians are humans. We do not dehumanize them. What we are doing with We Are Not Numbers is that we are fighting the dehumanization of the Palestinians in the mainstream media, and especially in the West in general. Even among the political establishment, the Palestinians are so dehumanized, and we are fighting this dehumanization of the Palestinians. We Palestinians, we are humans. We are one of the most amazing human beings of the world. And in We Are Not Numbers, we are writing about our humanity. We're sharing our humanity with the world, and we are fighting those who dehumanize us.
Yeah, I suppose that's very fair. I suppose it's been such a concerted effort by Israel to, well, it's embedded in their own culture that the Palestinians are not human. I think you told a very powerful story about your father who was about how he got a lecture from some Israeli he worked for about how Palestinians are not humans and you'll be our slaves and so on. So it's
not only the Palestinians.
Yeah, well,
that man, he did not say only the Palestinians. He said that everyone who is not Jewish is not a human. That we are all animals we are all animals created to serve just the Jewish people. And I know that's not a mainstream Jewish perspective, of course not. But unfortunately, in Israel, we have a lot of Israelis who think in this in this way, and unfortunately we have seen it that these people who think this way have senior officials in the Israeli governments. You have the Minister of War in Israel who said that they're fighting with human animals. So for me, when I heard this word, it's not a new it's not a new thing for me. I've heard it from my father before. So yes, we are fighting this dehumanization.
Do you think it's getting anywhere? I mean, do you think that it's shifting people's perceptions of? I mean, you're dealing with a lot of not only Israeli prejudice but Western prejudice generally. People here tend to see Israel as not in Ireland obviously, but in the West generally, people tend to see Israel as like us, and they tend to see Palestinians sadly as the other. So do you get any sense that projects like this are maybe shifting perceptions on that at all?
I believe that there is a huge shift that is happening in the West in regards to the Israel-Palestine issue. A lot of people in the West now know what Israel is about. A lot of people that they were never aware about Palestine before, they're now recruited. They joined the movement of Palestine, the movement of liberation and justice and freedom. And I believe this happened not because the mainstream media gave the Palestinians a voice or a story. They never covered Palestine in the way they should. And that happened because the Palestinians, all of us, the Palestinians in Gaza, took it upon ourselves to tell our stories, to document the war crimes that Israel is committing against us. And we have been speaking in every language about our plight. And that's what caused a huge shift in the public opinion on Palestine. So it's, of course, due to, I don't say it's because of we are not numbers, but because of projects like we are not numbers. It's because of the ideas that we promote in we are not numbers, and that the Palestinians in general have. We refuse to be killed in silence. We will not be silenced anymore. We will shout, we will scream, we will talk, we will tell our stories, we will write, we will sing, we will dance, and we will practice our culture in a way that will reach the world. And the world is finally listening to us. Why do you think that there is a wave of Western recognition of the state of Palestine? We can agree or disagree about the state of Palestine, but about the value of the recognition of the state of Palestine. But that tells you that the public is pushing their governments to make an action, to do something.
Yeah, well, Israel doesn't like the recognition of the state of Palestine, so even if it is just a gesture, maybe to a dead two-state solution, it's still something which is clearly a step in the right direction in terms of boosting support for Palestine. Because Israel can't stand it. Israel knows what it means, symbolically at least. Would it be the case that everyone who wrote for the book, were they all fluent English speakers or learning to become fluent English speakers?
You will be surprised how talented these young writers are. They all write in English. We don't write in Arabic, we only write in English. And most of these young writers, they speak English better than me. Someone who has lived in the UK for 6 years, they speak better than me, they write better than me. They're very talented. And one of the objectives of We Are Not Numbers is to encourage these young writers, these young people in Gaza, to write their stories in English language. And we train them, and we hone their skills in storytelling in the English language. So they all write directly in English.
Yeah, and as you say, they're all very talented writers. And I know Palestine, Gaza especially, is one of the most highly educated places in the world. I just wonder, is there ever any sense of resentment about having to learn English, about having to sort of engage more with Western culture, English culture, British culture, American culture, and doing so maybe shift a little bit away from your own native cultures, or a resentment about almost being forced to do that, to present yourself to the world as sadly you have to do because of the dehumanization, as more human? Is that something that there's ever resentment about?
I think the Palestinians can understand that there is a huge difference between the English-speaking people and their governments. Yes, we're disappointed in the British government and the American government. They're both complicit, or maybe I could say active participants in the genocide. But we know that the people in Ireland and the UK and America are not the same as their governments, and we are a people who are open to learning new languages. We are open about exploring other cultures and communicating with the world. We're very proud of our language. We love our language very much, but we also like to learn other languages and speak to other people in their own language.
Yeah, I just wonder because sometimes, like even we resent. I think people in Britain or Ireland resent like the extent to which American culture persists here, and the extent to which American TV shows and American junk food and American TV shows, American films, whatever, are present here. So I just wonder how it feels to have to sort of shift a large part of what you do in terms of how you speak, and probably you have to read a lot of this. Do the same sort of thing,
we
read American
have
books and,
we have also to understand that just because we write these stories in English, that doesn't mean that we in Gaza speak English.
yeah.
Arabic is our language, and we
course,
are
yeah.
very proud of our language. We write also in Arabic, but sometimes it is good to reach to other people in their own language, especially the people whose governments are complicit in the genocide of the Palestinian people. Without the U.S. government support and the British government support, Israel could not continue the genocide.
Of course, yeah.
And we know that the mainstream media in these countries are not representing their people very well, and they're not serving their people very well. So unfortunately, I say it with a heavy heart that it has become the responsibility of the oppressed people, unfortunately, to educate you guys. Although we shouldn't.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. There's sadly a long way to go. Would it be true that the writers, or maybe a lot of the writers would be, if they speak fluent English, would be maybe a more privileged section of Palestinian society? I think a lot of them have since managed to escape, and usually it requires resources to do that, sadly. Is that the case? Yeah. Does the book give a broad cross-section of what Palestinian society is like, or would it be more sort of privileged voices we're hearing in the book?
I wouldn't say privileged.
Privileged might be the wrong word, relatively speaking.
Yeah, most of our writers are young people who happen to be studying English at college. And because they study English, they can write and speak in English. We have many of our writers who studied medicine or engineering, but even if you study medicine in Gaza, you learn English because the medical terms are all in English in Gaza. It just happened. I wouldn't say they're privileged, but they're some of those who happen to speak English in Gaza.
Yeah, I don't obviously mean by world terms. Obviously, everyone in Gaza is subject to an occupation and the sort of strangling blockade that Israel puts on, but just in relative terms. I was thinking.
Well, these young writers who speak in English, who write English in Gaza, they are one of the people in Gaza. And many of our writers were killed in this genocide. Many of our writers were injured. Most of our writers lost their homes. So they are part of the society. They are components of our society. They're not different. They're not privileged like different. It just happens that they speak English.
Yeah, I suppose a genocide has a sort of leveling effect on everyone. Everyone suffers equally.
Everyone.
Yeah, no one can escape it regardless.
Even journalists. We thought that journalists and doctors are protected under international law. They should not be targeted. Even them were deliberately targeted. So no one is safe in Gaza. No one is privileged in Gaza. Everyone is a target in Gaza.
Yeah, of course. And in fact, I mean, it probably has almost reversed in some cases that maybe during a genocide, the more privileged you are, the more likely you are to be targeted, because Israel is determined to exterminate the people with the largest skill sets, doctors, journalists, and so on. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. People who can provide for their people who can make the Palestinian people steadfast in their own lands. Like journalists, medical care, healthcare workers in Palestine, they have become target because they treat the patients, because they make people steadfast in their country. Yeah. Journalists who speak on behalf of the people, they were target. Anything that gives way of life to the Palestinian people has been a target.
Yeah. I know you said the book tells happier stories about Gaza, and there are some of those, but obviously it's just the hostility of Israel has been so relentless, especially over the last 10 or 15 years. And obviously a lot of the stories are dealing with loss and with a sense of hopelessness, even in the face, even combined with steadfastness. Even Israelis had referred to Gaza like what do you call it, Giora Island, had referred to Gaza as a concentration camp many years ago, and that's the sense that comes through in the stories, is this sense of being trapped I think that's somewhat one thread that goes all the way through the book. It's a sense of feeling trapped. People who can't even go to the West Bank.
Yeah.
People who get stuck
Yeah.
with a hopeless sense of life and end up committing suicide or attempting suicide. Is that one of your memories of being in Gaza, or is that something?
I remember when I was in Gaza, I was feeling pretty much that I'm trapped in Gaza. And I think most of us who, especially those of us who speak more than Arabic language, because we read the literature, we watch the movies, we know how normal life is outside Gaza. We long for normal life. We are, no matter how much steadfast we are, no matter how resilient we are still human beings. We are still people who long for freedom. We love freedom. We can't be imprisoned. We do not like being imprisoned in Gaza. So that's why you will find in the book, and We Are Not Numbers, a huge sense of besiegement, of feeling that we are trapped. And when we say we feel that we are trapped, it doesn't mean that we want to leave Gaza for good, but we want to have, we want to feel that we are free, that we can travel and come back and see the world from behind the wall. And I remember when I was in Gaza, that feeling was overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a recurring theme in the book of people spending time on the internet or in books, reading about places elsewhere and escaping through that means.
And comparing Gaza.
Yeah. That's the sad thing about. There's a theory in psychology called social comparison theory, which means that even people in grim conditions can bear it if they're only aware of other people who are similarly suffering the way they are.
Exactly.
But if you're suffering, but you're very conscious of other people having much more happy lives elsewhere, then it just makes it compounds the unhappiness. Yeah,
it's true. That's why sometimes ignorance can be a blessing.
yeah.
But unfortunately, we're not ignorant. We're not ignorant.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah. Not ignorant, and also not angry. I think that's talking to you now, talking to other Palestinians, the sense you get through the book, and even Palestinians speaking through the genocide who are interviewed. You rarely get a sense of anger or vengefulness. You know, people are distraught, they're unhappy, but they're rarely raging against so-called Israel. What do you think explains that ability to not descend into hatefulness and bitterness?
I can't talk for everyone in Gaza. I can talk about myself. I'm driven by love, not by hate. And it's okay to be driven by hate if you experience a genocide. It is okay to be driven by hate if you lose all of your family members. It is okay. That's a human.
Of course, yeah.
That's normal. This is what normal life should be about. If someone killed my family, I must hate him. It is okay to hate him. It's okay to seek vengeance. You are a human being. You're not an angel. But it's just I decided that being vengeful and hateful will not help me at this current time. What helps me, what helps my cause is being driven by love for the love of humanity and the love of my people. If you talk to Gazans now, many of them you will feel that they're very angry. They're very, very angry. They're very frustrated, as they should. And that is normal. And I want people who listen us or hear us to understand that when we go through what we go through, you should not expect the Palestinians to behave in an angelic way. We're not angels. We're human beings. We can err, we can make mistakes, we can be angry, we can sometimes hate, we can love. We are human beings with normal human emotions.
Yeah, because that can be equally dehumanizing, can't it? If you just, sometimes people talk about the Palestinians in sort of reverential terms, as if they're saints and as if they can do no wrong, but that's equally dehumanizing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. But it is just striking, nonetheless, it is striking with the contrast between the Israelis you hear, who always seem to be full of hate and viciousness, and they're the ones who are, needn't be like that. They've such a position of privilege, whereas Palestinians, despite suffering under that, don't show it to the same extent. But like you say, they would be entitled to if they did. If they did, I don't know if you heard Norman Finkelstein recently. I'm sure you know who Norman Finkelstein
Yes,
is.
of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, the American academic. He talked about how what's going on in Gaza now can't really be captured in statistics. You know, it's like stories of the Holocaust. Once you get up to a certain number, once you get up to a certain kind of suffering, it's just something that can't be conveyed through news reports or statistics. It has to be conveyed through something like a novel or a film. Is that kind of the goal of what you're doing with We Are Not Numbers as well, is to try and really convey the reality of what's going on in a way that can't be captured by other forms of media?
This is a very good point. And We Are Not Numbers, ever since we started, we have always tried to not only convey the story of the Palestinians through the written content, through other means. That's why we did many documentaries, many short films on Gaza, inspired by the stories that our young writers did. We have been in many conversations recently about making some documentaries or some short films about life in Gaza, but we also understand our limits and our capabilities, and I hope, inshallah, in the future we will make something more than just the written content.
Yeah, because we're talking
But
about
right now we're very focused on the written content because, to be honest, me personally, I feel very worried about our writers since Israel is targeting our journalists. I try to not encourage our writers to, especially those who are in Gaza, to do something that would draw more attention to them so that they wouldn't be a target by Israel.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder, is that a factor in the lack of anger in the book, or are writers ever holding back, thinking I can't criticize Israel too strongly in this, or I might become a target?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, in We Are Not Numbers, we encourage our writers to be themselves, just to write what they feel, what they go through, without any filters, without any. We Are Not Numbers. We don't have a policy of silencing or editing.
Yeah.
Like, we just publish their stories
Sure.
unfiltered. Of course, we edit the grammatical mistakes because we help our writers improve their storytelling skills. But we encourage them to just be themselves and not to put any filters on them.
Yeah. So you have, I noticed at the top of each story there's a mentor mentioned. I think
Yes.
almost every story.
Yes.
So maybe talk a bit about what that mentoring role is like. What does a mentor actually do with?
Because most of our writers are still young writers. Most of them are 18, 19, 20 years old. Many of them have never written anything in their life. So they start their writing journey from We Are Not Numbers. So their writing, with their English writing, they need help sometimes. So the mentors help our writers develop their ideas and write their stories in the most perfect way as possible. So the mentors edit the grammatical mistakes that they have. They help our writers clarify their stories more and more. So they give training to our writers, and the mentors are very essential to We Are Not Numbers. Without them, we could not continue our work.
And who are they typically? Are they writers themselves?
Yes, they are established writers and authors from all around the world who are most likely English native speakers.
And they might be, they could be fiction writers in some cases, or
some of them are fiction writers, some of them are journalists, some of them are poets, some of them are playwrights, many of them are editors, or they used to be editors. And for example, if one of our writers want to write a poem, we'd find them a poet mentor who can help them write their poem. If they want to write a news story, like a feature, they would find them a mentor who can best help them in this type of writing.
So it's about matching the
skills.
The skill set that's needed. Yeah. Another thing that comes through really strongly in the book, I think, is a lot of people talk about how it's only now an accelerated genocide. It was always a genocide, but it's only an acceleration that's taken place in the last 2 years. And I think the book conveys that as well. Like I can't remember who used it recently, but the phrase bureaucratic genocide. And that's what it's, there are stories in the book about people facing ridiculous delays to get someone to hospital and they die in the meantime.
Yeah.
Or they people who can't get out of Gaza, or even things that just wear people down. Like there's a story about something you think would be very boring, but it's something that's somehow very instructive about someone trying to just get out of Egypt into Gaza, and this ridiculous bureaucratic procedure that causes them to break down in tears at the airport. Was that something you were thinking about as well? Just that sense of a bureaucratic genocide?
Of course. It is what my friend Omar calls it, the weaponization of time.
Yeah.
Israel has weaponized time against us Palestinians. And one of these stories of people whose Israel weaponized time against is my mother. My mother was a cancer patient, and Israel delayed her permit until she eventually died. She got a permit eventually, but when it was too late to be treated, and then she died. And the journey that she took from Gaza to Jerusalem to receive treatment, that journey, they made her, as someone who's already dying, she made her walk for a long distance on foot. And my mother was never the same after that journey, that work that she had to make. So and that was before the genocide. That was 3 years before the genocide started. And she was left to die. Many, hundreds of other Palestinians died waiting for permit to receive a treatment outside. That treatment of the Palestinians has always been not only dehumanizing, but brutal. They were killing us slowly our entire life.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, that it's a sort of switched roles now. I mean, rather than Gaza being the center of that kind of criminality and that kind of cruelty, more the West Bank. Well, the West Bank is sort of becoming what Gaza was maybe before the current stage of genocide. Or I don't actually know this. Are any of the writers from the West Bank, or is it all writers from Gaza?
Yeah, we had many writers who wrote to us from the West Bank, but that book that we recently published, We Are Not Numbers, The Voices of Gaza Youth, is a collection of stories from Gaza. And Gaza is an accelerated genocide. In the West Bank, it's happening slowly. And we know that the Israeli ministers, Smotrich and Ben-Gvir and Netanyahu, they've said it many times ago. They are going to annex the West Bank. They're going to kick out the Palestinians from the West Bank. I say it with a very, very heavy heart that unfortunately the West Bank's turn will come very soon unless Israel is stopped, and Israel needs to be stopped.
Yeah. Well, I think it's trying to move as fast as it can, isn't it? Because it knows that eventually time will run out when probably at some point the sanctions hit far too late, but probably they'll hit, and they're trying to go as fast as possible before doing that.
What sanctions?
Well, I mean,
sanctions against Ben-Gvir and Smotrich. That's not enough.
Well, exactly. I'm saying I hope they come at some point. You would eventually enough pressure will build. But it could be way down the line, ridiculously late. And like you say, it is only against individuals. I think the reason it's only against individuals is because if you were to sanction the government, it would be like sanctioning yourself. You know, if Keir Starmer said he was sanctioning Israel, he'd have to sanction himself because he's been part of the same thing the Israeli government's been doing, right?
Starmer has been giving Israel the weapons to kill us.
Yeah.
The weapons to kill us.
And the spy flights.
And the spy flights and more. We don't know what else he's doing. We don't know. We don't have all the intel. But all of them have been complicit in the genocide. And the recognition of Palestine is not enough.
No.
It will not stop Israel from annexing the West Bank, or destroying the rest of Gaza, or kicking the Palestinians out of the West Bank. They need to make, if they want to tell us that they're working on finding a solution or a lasting, a peaceful solution, then they have to do more than that, way more than that.
And when we, all as activists, have to do way more to put pressure on them. One thing you did, which was like a form of activism, was you confronted Richard Burgess, I think it was, at the BBC. Who's this senior figure, I can't remember his exact role at the BBC. And you spoke to him about, you asked him how does he sleep at night? You say it was following the release of the Centre for Media Monitoring report on the BBC's shitty coverage of
Yes.
Palestine. That was a very powerful moment when you said that to him. Did he say anything to you afterwards, or do you ever get to speak to BBC journalists about what's going on there?
Yeah, he said he refuses this question. He did not like this question. I asked him if how he sleeps at night, and it's not one of. I don't usually do this. I don't go and confront people and tell them how they sleep at night. But I was really annoyed with the way he was answering the questions from the public.
Yeah.
He was just telling them that they listen to them, that they care about our opinion, but clearly that was not the case. And I was really angry at the way he was giving these political answers to the audience. And I felt, come on, just tell us the truth. Tell us that you don't like the Palestinians, that you hate the Palestinians, that you don't care about the Palestinians. And right now, it really annoys me when I see people who think of us, who think that we are dumb, that we are stupid, that we don't know what's happening. Just be honest with us. If he were honest with us, I would have respected him. I wouldn't have respected the BBC, but I would have accepted that. Okay.
My impression was he was just like a kind of a stooge put out to get through that, and he was just determined to get it over with as fast as possible without really saying anything sincere. Like you agree, we have that situation all the time when we are confronted by Zionists in the street or whatever. Probably the most annoying ones are the ones who pretend that they want to hear both sides and they want to be very reasonable, but they actually, like you say, they think we're dumb.
Yes,
they
annoy me very much, especially this Richard. If you look at him, if you talk to him, he is a very nice person.
Yeah.
He looks very nice. He speaks in a very, very polite way, and that annoys me very much.
Yeah.
Because your coverage doesn't say that at all. Your coverage is very, very. It's one of the enablers of the genocide, the coverage of the BBC. So what you are doing in a practice is very contradictory to how you look and how you sound and how you speak. So just be honest with us. Why do you do this? That was my question to him.
Yeah. I think there is a kind of liberal, soft left position, people who think they're very civilized and very considerate.
It's like one day I watched a documentary about a vegetarian village in Israel. I was thinking to myself, what are you talking about, guys? You are vegetarians, and they say because they care about the animals. You care about the animals and you have no problem genociding another population. You care about the animals and you live on the rubbles of the Palestinian people, on the graveyards of the Palestinian people. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Or when I walk by some people in the tube in London and they say, thank you, sorry, and they're very nice while they are aiding and abetting a genocide. It's just so hypocritical.
Yeah.
And I don't respect that.
Yeah, I think that's, Israel has many strands, doesn't it? It has pink washing, it has they're always talking about how it's, that soldiers can choose vegan boots.
Exactly.
Or choose to.
While they crush Palestinians under the tanks.
Yeah.
They crush the Palestinians. They run over Palestinians, and then they watch what they are doing to their brothers and sisters, and then they refuse to eat meat because they're vegetarian, because they care about animals. And I respect vegetarian people, by the way. I love vegetarian people.
You're talking to one, actually.
You're talking to me, okay.
Vegan, yeah.
I've tried many times to be a vegetarian, but I just...
You should have a good start, like Middle Eastern diets. It gives you a good start, I think. Like falafel, hummus, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but falafel and hummus is not a main meal for us. It's periphery.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah. You need to get out of the mentality that it has to be meat in the middle of every meal. That's a bit of an Irish thing as well. So,
I know. One day, inshallah, I will be vegetarian.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah. Do you sense any shift in the BBC's coverage at all? I only turn on the mainstream media occasionally, and I even 2 years in, I honestly don't see much. I still see them going on about Hamas-run health ministry and asking UN officials, are they Hamas proxies and anti-Semitic? I still see them using very strong language about October the 7th, but not strong language about Israel. So do you see any kind of shift in the media at all?
I don't read them anymore. I don't read them. I don't watch them. I don't want to see them at all. they have been an instrument in the Israel genocide against the Palestinian people. They are beyond repair. They are beyond fixing. Now I'm just fixated on building a new media outlet, a new alternative media that really cares about the Palestinian people, that really cares about justice and freedom. And I will not just waste my time talking about the mainstream media because they're just beyond repair.
So how do we
Sorry to disappoint you.
No, I'm very disappointed already. I think I'm beyond hope for the mainstream media as well. Like I say, I maybe turn it on like once or twice a week, and I just can't believe what I'm hearing. It's amazing. They're still talking the same same language they were 2 years ago. So I think you're right. I've heard lots of people say the same thing.
So
it's just
I'm not boycotting the
unfixable.
mainstream media. If they invite me to speak to them, I do.
Use the platform
Because I use their platform to reach their wider audiences. But I do not encourage people who are already recruited to watch them.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it. You don't want to watch them again.
Yeah.
Let people who still don't know anything about our cause listen to the BBC, and we will go to the BBC and talk to them.
Yeah. Well, it's hard work. So I mean, how do we do that? How do we build like a new media ecosystem?
You are doing one already.
We're doing one already, but yeah, it's only a small part. I think that's the idea. Is it's just lots and lots of little parts like this here. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the way forward. People already know that the mainstream media is biased. It's not genuine. It's not neutral. They're not professional. It's not only me. It's not only Palestinians. We know it as journalists. As a journalist, I studied their coverage. We already know that they have been biased for a long time, especially when it comes to foreign policy. They just mimic and they follow what their governments are doing. And now it is time that we encourage alternative media to flourish, that we support alternative media, and to encourage projects and an organization that really care about the Palestinian voices. The Palestinian voices need to be heard. Enough is enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly one of the goals in here. We try and get as many Palestinians on as possible. It's only so much use having random people from around Ireland, Britain, Europe telling stories. It needs to be yourselves telling them to really convey the truth of what's going on and for you to decide what's going to happen next.
Yes.
Just coming up to the last couple of questions here. So, I mean, another thing that shines through in the book is that sense of the concept of samud, of sort of being steadfast and resilient in the face of, massive obstacles. And there's no bigger one than a genocide. This one quote stuck out to me as like someone saying, "Happiness is a choice." You can. It's partly about your mentality. It's not. Not at
When
all,
was that, if I may ask? Which year?
Which year? It was one of the stories before
the genocide.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah,
one
I
of the ones
wonder
recently,
because in the genocide, I don't think anyone will
yeah,
write that.
It's not a universal truth. Obviously, it has a certain amount of truth in it.
It's a very philosophical question, but it doesn't apply in Gaza now after the genocide, unfortunately. Before the genocide, we could say we could fool ourselves and say happiness is a choice. But how can you choose happiness when you live a genocide in Gaza? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in Gaza right now is happy, or they think that happiness is a choice anymore. Unfortunately, our reality has changed. It has shifted. Yes, we have always had this sumud and steadfastness and resilience, but we have also to be true to our people. Our people are going through hell on earth, and it's not really, to be honest, I stopped talking about resilience and sumud for many months right now.
Right.
Because the Palestinian people in Gaza, they deserve honesty and they deserve to be represented in a way that is actual and truthful. The people in Gaza, they don't have an option to choose resilience or not. They're going through a lot in Gaza. And at that time, they need support, they need sympathy, they need to be empowered by the world. And we should stop talking about how the Palestinians are resilient or not. They're being killed day and night.
Yeah. So you're essentially saying it's at a level beyond where resilience has any meaning. It's so extreme that no one can really be totally resilient to it.
I think the Palestinians are trying to be resilient a lot in Gaza. They are doing their best to be resilient. But I don't believe that the current situation... I believe the current situation is beyond our ability for sumud and resilience. It is just too much. I know no matter how much we try to explain to you how horrible how dreadful the situation is in Gaza. You can't just really grasp it. You need to really live it. And that's why, as a Palestinian who lives outside, I think of myself as a privileged Palestinian. And I do not want to talk on behalf of the Palestinians, say the Palestinians are resilient. They can say that about themselves, the Palestinians in Gaza. I can't say that about them. And I can't pretend that the Palestinians are resilient. They are struggling. They are suffering. They are dying. And they need help. They need the world to help and stand by them. And my problem is when we always talk about resilience and sumud of the Palestinians, it is as if we're telling people here is that, don't worry about the Palestinians. Don't do your job. The Palestinians are resilient.
They can cope with anything. Don't
the
worry.
Palestinians can't cope with genocide.
Yeah.
No one can cope with genocide. No one should cope with the genocide. And we must act. We must act now. Like, we don't have time. The Palestinians don't have time.
Absolutely. I mean, where do you get sort of any kind of hope or at this point? I mean, I know it's not really relevant what I think in the context of all this. I'm not going through it myself, but recently just things seem so dire. I've always tried to I've always resented it when people have said, "Oh, people have been saying throughout the course of 2 years, oh, Gaza's no more, it's finished, there's nothing you can do," and I always resented that. It's the saying that there's still a chance. There's buildings still standing, there's people still alive, there's still a chance. But as it gets to this stage, it seems so extreme, and there's so little of Gaza left, and the death is on such a scale. It's getting harder to find hope. So, how do you do that?
Patrick, I want to be honest with you. I don't want to deceive our audiences. It's not the time for deceit anymore. I don't think I am hopeful for the near future. The near future is dark. It's ugly. It's bleak. Palestinians are suffering. Even if the war ends today, the Palestinians will continue to suffer for years to come, because Israel destroyed the infrastructure of Gaza. They destroyed anything that makes the life of the people very normal. I am hopeful for the long run. On the long run, Israel destroyed itself. The world will never view Israel as they did in the past. Israel is destroying itself by its hand. And there is Israel will never get away with what they have done in Gaza. The Palestinian people, I know, we will suffer for a long time. We will be killed for many months to come, maybe. That's horrible. But we always find a way of rebuilding our country. We always find a way of getting hope back. We always find a way of finding life in the midst of horror and suffering. The Israelis, they will have to worry about themselves. They will have to worry. Every soldier who participated in the killing of the Palestinians, they will have to worry about themselves, because even if they don't get retribution in this time, their children will be disgusted with them. Their grandchildren will be disgusted with them. I don't think they will be able to sleep normally. The world will not let them get away with it. Wherever they go, all around the world, people will be disgusted with them. People will not give them a normal life anymore.
So the hope is for the long term rather than anything.
And that's why we should be working very, very fast now. We must work together to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinians on the short term, and work very hard to build something for the long term. The occupation must end. The Palestinians must be free again. It's enough. 77 years already of pain and suffering and the trauma is enough already.
So I think that's a good way to end. The future is to some extent based on what we do. It's one thing how we feel now, whether it's hope or not hope, but it's what ultimately happens is going to be based on what all of us do.
The future is not written yet. We will build our future, and we will write what the future is. So it's up to us, really.
Well, thanks very much for coming on the podcast, Ahmed.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers.